I've been asking for years, what are the consequences for society if we don't acknowledge and value hard work and success? What are the consequences when we see virtue in doing less instead of more? As I've said, I've been asking for years, but now we're much further down this road on this major shift in societal values than when I first observed that we rarely, if ever, mention the link between working hard, staying in school to get more training, or working longer hours, taking risks, being creative, and higher rewards. Instead, as renowned economist Thomas Sowell recently observed, there has now been created a world in which the success of others is a grievance rather than an example. And that grievance is now part of the class warfare playbook. I mean, you may remember Prime Minister Trudeau, upon introducing the proposed changes to small business taxation just over a year ago, saying that the majority of people in small business were just rich people who hire high-priced accountants in order to avoid paying their fair share of taxation. I mean, no respect for the people who took a chance to start their own business and then spent hours trying to make a go of it. I mean, he's talking about medical specialists who spend 12 or more years in training, racking up literally hundreds of thousands in debt. He was talking about the entrepreneur who starts a business, maybe works 80 hours a week, or a veterinarian who starts their own business. 20 years later, may start seeing a return on that time and money. But somehow, it played to a significant portion of Canadians who see success as a grievance. I mean, this is on the short list of the fundamental philosophical differences that divide Canadians. I mean, on the one side, you have people who appreciate and understand the role of work ethic in creating the circumstances, under which we live, and those who see success as the result of maybe an unethical action or privilege, usually white privilege, or luck, but anything but hard work. In this worldview, everyone, with the exception of white males, is a victim. I mean, there's so many implications of the view that success is not earned and worth ethics not valued. I mean, one of the most obvious places is taxation and the constant call for wealth redistribution under the guise of, to borrow from the Prime Minister, paying your fair share. A common refrain, but as Thomas Sowell asked, what's your fair share of what someone else has earned? Well, that's an uncomfortable question. If you acknowledge that somebody actually worked harder, worked longer, spent more time training to obtain in-depth skills or are more creative or willing to take risks, then it becomes harder to confiscate their wealth, better to ignore it. And that's what the majority of Canadians and politicians on the center-left have done, which makes it easier to push for ever higher taxes. The truth is that before wealth is redistributed, it has to be earned, and that's never mentioned. We're seeing that attitude right now in BC with the NDP government's introduction of a new school tax and a new speculation tax on real estate, which are simply wealth taxes in disguise. I mean, the fact that people saved to buy their home, paid for the upkeep, probably did some renos, paid sales tax on every single item they bought for the home. They paid ever-increasing property taxes and their mortgage payments, which for many were significantly higher than today's rates, but none of that's ever mentioned, and certainly not calculated in the so-called windfall gains. None of it's taken into account. The thought that someone has earned what they have, paid a significant amount of taxes along the way, and have no intention of selling their house doesn't factor into the discussion. No, I don't think it's a stretch that our denigration of work ethic plays a role in our collective refusal, by the way, to pay for some of the government services we want, which is why governments run up deficits and record debt, even in good times. I mean, think of how our attitudes, though, have changed, and that's my point. They're so different in the last 10 years. In 2008, Michelle Obama gave a well-received speech at the Democratic National Convention in which she stated, in quotes, "Barack and I were raised with so many of the same values that you work hard for what you want in life," end of quote. Work hard for what you want in life? Come on, that would be considered right-wing rhetoric today. We have an awful lot of able-bodied people demanding that the government give them free university tuition, subsidized daycare, free dental care, and now demands that the government should help them get a house. I mean, there's no talk like Michelle Obama's of working hard to get what you want in life. This is also a warning. The writing's clearly in the wall. If you are someone, maybe like Michelle Obama, who values hard work, believes it's the foundation of getting what you want, then you're on the losing side. There's no doubt. It's reflected in the ever-increasing tax burden that ignores hard work. Maybe more important, it's reflected in the resurgence of socialism. Just look down south of the border. Takeover of the Democratic Party by Bernie Sanders and his protege, proud socialist Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. No. The times have changed, our attitudes have changed. All I'm pointing out, if you're one of those people who values hard work, you're on the losing side.